Yesterday, somebody killed our Tesla. Red Dragon is dead. Welcome to the Model 3 Man channel and our 4th video upload. To be honest though, I have to say that this is the video I never wanted to make. Our title is not clickbait. What started out as a 14-day US road trip, kind of a victory lap to show the car to friends and to family members, has ended in complete disaster. And all I can do is smile. But this video tells that story. So this is day one of our southbound trip. We're heading down from Vancouver in British Columbia all the way down ultimately to San Diego. And this is really an opportunity to see how Red Dragon does on long extended multi-day trips. The summer is so hot here in North America. So with that excess of heat will come additional stress on the car, and we're going to see how she performs. So right now we're going to set up the trip meters because we charged last night. We're pretty much at 100%. If you look at the top there, you can see 495 kilometers range, which is really good. We're looking at the first of these trip meters, and we're going to simply rename it Portland because that's the destination today. Portland, save, and then we're going to reset the numbers on there so everything's zeroed out. Okay, let's get going. So at this point we've done 105 miles using 212 watt hours per mile. We're stopping at the Smoky Point rest area and we're on our way to the first of the Superchargers, which is Centralia. Our ultimate destination is Portland. So here we are at Centralia. It's a 20-station supercharging location. Charge is being returned at 420 miles per hour. So here we are. We barely had enough time to have lunch. As we cleared away the tacos wrappings and the empty cups, the message flashed up, charging complete, and I ran for it. So here we are at 83% at a charge of $9.50. We're off now to Portland. Heading to the Sheraton in Portland, where we're going to spend 2 nights. So we've arrived in Portland, arrived at our hotel. Here's the information since we last charged, 90 miles back. So here are the stats on the entire journey so far, all the way from Vancouver right to Portland, 322 miles. So there it is, Portland has been reached and we're going to go and relax. Let's move in a little. So we booked into the airport Sheraton in Portland. One of the perks, if you can call it that, is that we're right next to one of the runways and looking at some very cool private jets. So here I am in the hotel parking lot. I've been desperately trying to get the free 14-day autopilot trial. All of a sudden I got a notification that new software was available for Red Dragon. If you own a Model 3 and you're wondering where and when you will see that there is an update, at the top of your screen you'll see a little yellow icon which resembles an old style alarm clock, and when you tap on that it asks you if you want to update the software. If you choose install now, it begins a 2-minute countdown. Double or triple tap on the clock that is counting down and it will jump right down to 1 second. So if you're impatient you can save 2 whole minutes. It strikes me again what an incredible thing over-the-air updates, OTA, are. It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely astounding. So it says this release contains minor improvements and bug fixes. If I tap on Tesla, we're now on version 2018.28.3. What's amazing is to look straight up and see trees and sky and clouds above your head, and it's a feeling of amazing freedom. the truly dedicated wait in the middle of a rainstorm for their donuts. That's us. There's a new craze on the West Coast, and it's electric scooters. It seems like the distribution companies kind of dump them into the inner cities, and all you got to do is scan the barcode, first of all create an account, and you can drive them where you want and kind of leave them where you want. Seems like there are two companies. One is called Lime and the other is called Bird. Lime has that very catchy lime green color. I think the scooters go faster, and I think that it's more popular, at least on the ground in terms of numbers.
Oh!
So before we left Portland, we decided we needed to charge at the T-Guard, not sure, Superchargers. They don't look like the outdoor Superchargers. They're sleeker, they're narrower. They also seem to charge less speedily, but they are defined as Superchargers. And you can see me here catching up, charging before we leave for the coast. So charging completed at about 84%, and the total charge was $8.16. This is day 3 of our vacation. We are just leaving the Sheraton Hotel. Had a great stay. 2 days in Portland. We're now moving across to the coastal highway, Highway 101. We're going to be starting at Seaside, where we'll charge again, and working our way down south over the course of 2 days. So at the beginning of this leg of the journey, heading out from Portland across to the coastal 101, I've reset the trip meter, Portland to Seaside. Prediction here is that we will get there with 44%. There we are, ready to go.
Take the Interstate 205 south ramp on the right toward Interstate 84, Portland.
So we've arrived at the little town of Seaside, which is on the 101 coastal highway. Really looks like we need some breakfast. So having reached the little town of Seaside, Oregon, on the west coast, we wanted to top up at the Superchargers, which were in a parking lot adjacent to a mall. One of the strange things that happened when we got there was that it was taped off. At least behind it was taped off, and fortunately the Supercharger stalls were still available. It seemed like it was really just a monster truck gathering day. They did have a tribute to the fallen soldier that was happening, but mostly it was about monster trucks. Now, I'm not particularly hot on those, but I do admire the dedication and the work that they put into making those amazing, amazing giants. A quick look at the navigation system, so the map on the left, obviously, but then a series of steps on the right-hand side. My view is that positioning them on the right of the monitor is not good for the driver. It might be fine for your passenger. They should be moved across there to where the driver's eye more naturally falls. I'm quite sure that 100,000 people have told Elon already, but we'll wait for a future update and see if they improve on that. So on reaching the coastal town of Cannon Beach, we took a look around the town first of all, just walked up and down the sidewalks. A very eclectic mix of weird and wonderful, ordinary and very out of the ordinary, crazy names, but it was a beautiful place. The real reason, of course, we were there, the ability to fly my drone and just get some good footage. So imagine my dismay when we walked down to the beach entrance. We saw this. Sadly, I had to leave the drone in its case. When I got down to the beach and we took a look at the Haystack Rock, I quickly understood why they had a ban on drone flying. As you can see from the footage here, the beach is a very, very busy place. Lots of people driving, cycling, driving these one-wheeled boosted boards, for want of a better term. People exercising their dogs, just having a good time. And when I looked up at the Haystack Rock, I could see why they did not want drones flying around. Every imaginable seagull and cormorant and seabird nest up on the rock. And you can see I didn't have a telephoto lens, but my little iPhone 7 Plus did the best it could. So I fully understood why I was not allowed to fly, but I was hungry for the chance to get it up in the air and get some decent footage. Here's Janine standing guard over the unused drone. We decided to have a quick beer for the road, or beer before the road. Funny, you know, I sat and thought afterwards, what if I had spent just 30 minutes more on Cannon Beach? Would we ever have had that bad thing happen to us? But you know, you can drive yourself crazy if you do that. We could think about that in life. What if I didn't meet this person? Didn't happen. You did meet that person. After leaving Cannon Beach, we carried on down the coastal highway and soon came to a beautiful viewing area. It was named the Nia Carney viewing area. Apparently it's about the highest spot on the Oregon coast. And then it was back onto the road again, excepting that this time there were not going to be any more stops, any more viewing areas, any more photogenic stretches of the beach. I'll get to that in just a minute. Well, you don't see that every day. A real old-fashioned steam train. I used to shovel coal for a day when I became a fireman, thinking it meant riding around in fire engines. Turned out to be I was shoveling coal in a steam engine. That career didn't last long.
All of one day.
All of one day, yep. Peter Levy, fireman. A little way along on the road to Tillamook, there is a stretch that becomes very straight. The road winds before that, moves in away from the coast, and then it just goes down very straight. And on the left-hand side are the Air Museum buildings, and we would have loved to have had a chance to see those. And in the middle of this straight road, there's a section where 101 intersects with Matlock Way. And you'll see here, thanks to Google Maps and Google Live View, being able to bring that up for you and just show you what it looks like. In any event, in the southbound lane, the car in front of me had to stop in order to wait for the cars coming so it could cross over and turn off. The car stopped, I stopped right behind it, and the youngster behind me slammed straight into the back of us. No slowing down, no screeching of brakes, nothing at all, just full force into the back. And the speed was somewhere between 45 and 50 miles per hour. That might not sound a lot, but I can promise you this. If you're sitting in the car and completely unexpectedly you get shunted from behind at that speed, it's a massive impact. So according to Janine, as we were hit, I shouted out, "No!" Because in that instant, without thinking about it consciously, I knew part of the dream had died. You know that that car is not going to be drivable. Thanks to Photoshop, I created a quick aerial reenactment just to give you an idea of how it all went down. The accident happened at about 3:55 in the afternoon. We were only finally towed, because it had to be towed, at 11:30 that night. It was a long, cold, dreary period as we waited in our car, not wishing to leave our luggage and everything we had, and we waited until we were towed. Now, let me right away say, it was not the fault of the towing company. The towing company arrived, first of all, in the quickest time they could, which turned out only to be 9 o'clock at night. That's how busy they were. But it turned out that we could not get the Tesla to move into tow mode and release the parking brakes. We'd managed to do that right after the accident. And even though the auxiliary battery had run down and Tesla had helped us to take the cover off under the hood, get to the battery, put external power, it still never allowed us to get back into that tow mode where the parking brake is released for about 20 minutes. So it wasn't Tesla's fault, it wasn't the towing company's fault, I don't think it was my fault, but we sat there while they sent the tow truck back to Hillsborough, 60 miles away, and we had to wait for another tow truck that came prepared with a dolly. And here you see that wonderful guy by the name of Kevin. I think it was Kevin. I may have got that wrong, but he was everything you could wish him to be, and he sat with us in the office until we'd made sleeping arrangements for that night, or what was left of it, because we only got back to the towing offices at about 1:30, somewhere in that vicinity. I have to say two things, and they're both about Tesla. And the first was about Tesla, the company, and their response to us. About a minute and a half to 2 minutes after the time of impact, my cell phone rang, and I looked at it and I didn't recognize the number. It was a 1877. It turned out to be Tesla Roadside Assistance. And their first question was, "Our computers show that you suffered a major impact. Are you guys okay? Were you in an accident?" I cannot tell you how comforting that was. It was just amazing. There we were. We felt alone. We felt isolated. We didn't feel like talking to the guy behind us for obvious reasons. And there comes a call, and it's from your car company. So we were incredibly impressed by that. And later in the afternoon and later in the evening, Tesla Roadside Assistance worked diligently with us. to try and get the car into towing mode, to give us everything we could try and do. I was most impressed. And then the next day, when I got home to Vancouver, another call from the head of safety engineering, or safety in engineering, and he wanted to find out how we were. He also wanted to find out, what can we do to make this car safer? What can we do to give an even greater measure of safety to the occupants? And that was mind-blowing. I've never had that from any car company. And I understand why people now say the Tesla Model S, Model X, Model 3 are the safest cars on the road, and I believe it. You know that we got out, we stood up, we walked away, nothing wrong. We were not injured. We were not bruised. We had safety belt bruises, but that's not the car's fault. So not only was the car phenomenally safe, I can tell you that the trunk suffered no impact. Nothing inside was damaged. My iMac that you can see behind me, my Drobo storage unit, a whole lot of other cameras, all of them were inside the trunk and nothing was damaged. And the trunk space was not even impacted. I honestly believe that this is the safest car I could drive in. And we have our good health to thank to the design of that car. So thank you, Tesla. Thank you, all the employees. Thank you, Elon, for driving them to make the safest car on the road. Yesterday, somebody killed our Tesla. Red Dragon is dead. And in its place, we have this wonderful, beautiful contraption with lots and lots of buttons and vents and wheels and dials and cup holders and a gear stick, a real gear stick. And oh my goodness, and when I look through the steering wheel, I got dials and gauges and little tiny numbers. And if I want to change these vents, I just go down into this dark corner here and I just have to look like this. I'm sure I can still pay attention to the road at the same time, but they're all down here. And then I've got a massive 2.5-inch screen. When I'm backing up, this beauty over here, nothing like it on the market. So all in all, how can you lose? This in exchange for Red Dragon.